We're going to start where Team Big Noon Kickoff will be in Ames, Iowa, at Iowa State, battling for the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
Yeah, Stoner, why are you doing all my stuff? The Cy-Hawk Trophy? I was giving them little tidbits. You know what I mean? You just a A1 host. No.
Can we talk about the Cy-Hawk Trophy?
Let's talk about the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
Let's rename that. It's such an insane name. None of it makes sense.
Light it.
The Triple Option is brought to you by Wendy's. Wake up with Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast.
Light it.
Welcome to the Triple Option. He is Mark Ingram. There's Coach Urban Meyer. I'm Rob Stone. This week, guys, not one, two guests, two really good guests. Mike Norvell, Florida State. Matt Campbell, and Iowa State ahead of their big showdown with Iowa. Yes, we're going to talk Arch Manning Saturday. We're going to talk the Buckeye defense, Bryce Underwood, and other Key One performers. A lot to get to here as we get ready for week 2 and close down week 1 in college football. Thanks for joining us. We encourage you every week to what, Mark? Rate, subscribe, share, follow,
tell your mama now,
all that other stuff. You can get us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. We can be found at 3X Option Show. New episodes every Wednesday on YouTube and wherever it is you find your podcasts. All right, time now for Any Given Saturday. Week 1 gave us what makes college football so great. An unranked Florida State side triggering the fans rushing the field as they took down then number 8 Alabama. To break it all down, we go to Tallahassee. We bring in the head coach of Florida State, Mike Norvell. Mike, congratulations. But I know Coach wants to start with anything but football right now, apparently. Is that right, Coach?
Yeah, congrats, Ma. I know you're busy, and thanks for taking a minute. So you beat Bama. You got Miami on October 4th. You got Clemson on 11/8. But we all know this is much more important. We have to defend our Peach Bowl Coaches Challenge Golf Tournament. You have a big trophy. I don't see the trophy.
No,
I mean, the world needs to know that we are defending back-to-back champs.
You almost left the back.
You're working on it.
You almost left back-to-back.
We are back-to-back.
Coach, they allow you to cheat over there too, Coach?
No, Mike was my ace, man. He was off the tee. And Mike doesn't play. He's a coach. He's not playing like I play. And then I carried him the first year. He carried the load this year, man. Hey, let's get going here. I know you got to go. 13-1 in 2023, 2024, 2-10. A great win. You had a little bit of clean house, and I want to ask you about that because as a coach, you've always been there. You've been there. Tony White, who I love as a D coordinator, came from Nebraska, and Gus Malzahn, I've known him forever. I think he's one of the best offensive coaches out there, especially that run game. Was it a clean house, or was it just tidy things up a little bit?
Well, I mean, obviously we had to get back to the standard of Florida State. And I say that, I've been a part of great staffs here. We've had some tremendous success, in our time here. And, unfortunately we had a very disappointing year, and, you have to go and evaluate all things, and you continue to push and push the expectation and uphold the standard. And, that goes from me, that goes from staff, players, and everybody involved. And, we made the choice that as we were moving into this 25 season, that I wanted a football team, staff, every individual to bring that certain edge. And, really we've talked about a desperation to go win every single day, and all that's in front of us, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the stage or what's in front of you. I want to see your best show up. And, we had some very tough conversations with players, and obviously, every player that came in, they understood what was going to be asked of them, and every player that returned, understood that expectation. And really pleased with this team and the way they've gone about their business from January through this first game of the season. And, we put it on them, and they've risen to the challenge and really pushed each other and themselves. And I thought Saturday was a great glimpse into a little bit of the identity of this team.
Hey, before I hand it to Mark real quick, so when I had a coach like a Malzahn or like a Tony White, I don't know Tony that well, Coach White that well, but to have a guy that has enough courage to come in your office maybe and say, hey, we need to rethink this. Is that what I just can imagine? Because Gus has been in a big seat. He's been there. Is that something you missed, and is he doing that for you?
No, I mean he's been great. Tony and Gus both are tremendous leaders on their respective side of ball, and it's been we are working together as we push to restore this program to where it deserves to be, and I mean and there's a sense of respect in all things that have been done, and there's all the things that still our focus is about this team, this group, and it's going to be different than the way that Gus and Tony maybe have done it in the past. It's going to be different in ways that I've potentially done it in the past. I know the values, I know the expectation, I know the standard of what I want it to look like and what I want it to be, and we all push together in being able to formulate a plan to be able to execute that. And we did a great job of that in the first step. And there's been a lot of collaboration, and there's been a lot of adjustments from all of us to be able to put it together what this team needs, because that's all that matters. The guys that are on this team, and as we continue to push this program forward now and for the years to come.
Coach, man, we appreciate your time. I appreciate your time. Everyone was talking about Florida State last year, and I'm sitting here like, just relax. Mike Norvell, he's a great coach. I'm a big fan of you. But I just want to talk about your quarterback for a second. Tommy C, he transfers from Boston College. He comes out against Bama, and he just straight balls. But in the offseason, he said, Nick Saban can't save them. I don't think they can stop me. And I respect the kid, man. You got big nuts. You drop your nuts like that, and you say that for the world, and you go and back it up, man. I got big respect for the kid. But how did you handle him putting that out there in that moment, but also while fostering that confidence for him to do what he did on Saturday?
I mean, Tommy's a tremendous competitor, and he's a young man that he definitely respects the people we go against, and the Alabama program, it deserves respect. I mean, it's been one of the top programs in the country, and but ultimately, confidence comes through the work. And as I told him, I've watched the work. And I support our players. I support our football team. That ultimately, I mean, anybody can go out there and say what they want to say, but you better make sure that the actions are what show up, and that the actions are something that are lived on a daily basis. And that's what I've seen from Tommy from the minute that he's got here. It's one thing to talk about the athletic skill and the movements and the throws and all the things that he's able to do, but I've watched the investment in his teammates. I've watched the investment into this program, into this community. I mean, he truly cares about it. And when it comes to the work ethic, I think that's being put on display, in how he was able to go out there and execute in the first game. And look, I mean, this is Florida State. This is a special place, and we respect who we compete against, but it's not about them. It's about us. It's about what we're willing to do and what we're willing to push to go accomplish.
What is the ID of this Florida State team, Coach?
I mean, for us, it's that competitive edge, and that's, everything that we did in the offseason, man, we finished with the competition. It was either one-on-one, group on group, man, all eyes on you. What are you going to do in that moment? And in reality, when you go one-on-one, somebody's got to lose. Somebody's got to face disappointment. Somebody's got to experience success. Well, where do you go with that next step? Where do you go in that response? And I think, you look at a game like Saturday, just like, all the games that we've all been a part of, you're going to see the highs and lows. I've never seen a perfect game played out. There's going to be a moment of disappointment. There's going to be, plenty of moments of great joy, but it's how you handle that. And are you still willing to push, to improve, to get better? And, that competitive balance. I mean, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win in this moment, right? Regardless of who, what, where, and I'm going to put all that I have. If I get knocked down, I'm going to jump my butt back up and go take that next step.
I want to hit the ACC real quick, Mike, and there was a time where there was arguably maybe the best conference in the country when you had Clemson, Miami, Florida State, Louisville, Virginia Tech, all top 15 programs. And then there was a little bit of a slide. I think it was a good statement win by Miami last night. Clemson played LSU tough. You guys had a huge win. When they start talking about, I see the 4-4-2-2 and a little bit disrespectful to the ACC and the Big 12. Do you see do you see it coming back? I noticed when I was in the Big Ten, it came back with a force. Do you see the ACC this year looking across that table coming back?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I believe that this conference is, there's great investment, there's great push. There are a lot of wonderful teams. I think we had 14 teams in bowl games last year. 2 in the playoffs. I mean, and that was with us having an extremely down year. And so this is going to be, it's going to be a competitive league. I think that it's one thing to say it. You got to see it on the field. And I think we've shown that here in the early part of the season. Even a couple of years back, we kicked off with LSU as in the season opener. They won the West Division, the SEC, and we were able to get a victory there. They had the Heisman Trophy winner. We were able to get a victory there. We've stepped up to play those games against those competitive teams, and I believe in I believe in this conference and what it can be, and I know the competitiveness of what it's going to show throughout the course of this season. So we're excited to represent it and put everything we have to it.
After everything that your program had to endure last season and in the offseason and then opening up with Alabama, take me, Coach, to that moment when you see the fans and Dawg Campbell coming out onto the field. And I know you got to play it straight, right, as a coach and find, the opposing head coach over there, get that handshake. But there had to have been some type of emotion, some type of feeling with that visual and that noise at the end of the game.
It's all gratitude, and I thank God for the opportunity that he's provided me to be able to represent this place. I mean, I deeply care about this university, these players, the coaches I get to work with, the past players that were back. I mean, it was just a wonderful atmosphere, and to see all the fans, and we have a newly renovated Dawg Campbell Stadium. The energy that was there with on Saturday was truly special, and it was just gratitude. And I thank God for that opportunity, and I've got a tremendous responsibility for what I need to do and how I need to be able to lead this program and the example that we've got to set. But the standard is a standard, and we've got to uphold that. And so the gratitude for all that was done to make Saturday a special day, and we've taken that first step. Now it's got to go take step 2, and that's all on us.
My guess is the administration will have no problems paying that $50,000 fine, right? We're going to upset Bama. Come on the field, kids. Let's go have some fun, man. Awesome start, Coach. We really appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the season. I know you're a busy man. Hope your Labor Day weekend goes well. And congrats on starting 1-0.
Well, appreciate you guys having me on, and go Noles.
Appreciate you, Coach, man. Keep doing your thing, man. Go beat everybody else how you beat us, please. It make me feel a lot better about myself.
Light it.
Breakfast might be the most important choice you make all day. That's because with Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast, you can mix and match your very own perfect pairing of our delicious morning favorites. With this breakfast deal, the choice is all yours, not someone else's, Mark.
And isn't that how it should be? It's your breakfast, after all, not Martha's. She could pick up her own breakfast.
Get your own breakfast, Martha.
This one's all you, Stoner, no matter what you choose. From our sausage biscuit with that grilled breakfast sausage, or the egg and cheese biscuit with cracked grade A egg and melty American cheese on a fluffy buttermilk biscuit. A small size of perfectly seasoned potatoes, or a medium hot coffee to power through the morning. All you gotta do is pick your ideal morning pair.
You really can't lose because you're the one calling the shots. The choice is all yours. Wake up to Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast just the way you want it. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. No substitutions. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
This college football season is delivering weekly showdowns you do not want to miss.
Right now, all customers on FanDuel can score a 50% profit boost for this week's big match on campus.
Here's how it works. Place a bet on the game. Apply your profit boost and enjoy boosted winnings when your bet hits. And the best part, you get paid instantly when you win. Use your boost on bets like spreads, over-unders, team props, and so much more.
Don't wait. Visit FanDuel.com/triple option to download the app and boost your next bet on this week's marquee game. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. What if a quarterback completed 4 out of 5 of his passes, or a point guard hit 4 out of 5 from behind the arc? Well, now when you're hiring, you can play at that level, because 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
From healthcare to hospitality to business services, manufacturing, and more, ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And today you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/option. ZipRecruiter doesn't wait for the right candidates to find you. ZipRecruiter scouts top talent for you.
First, when you post your job, ZipRecruiter hustles to start showing it to the most qualified people. Then, ZipRecruiter races to build a roster of great candidates for your job. And you can invite your top picks to apply, to encourage them to apply sooner.
So go see it for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free. We're giving it away for free right now. ZipRecruiter.com/option. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/option. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Okay, so we heard from the architect of the Florida State upset over Bama. You know we got to hear from Mark Ingram, right, Mark? We've got to hear about your Crimson Tide, and I don't know. Do you feel worse about this one than you did maybe about the Vanderbilt loss last year, or is this just as painful?
Oh man, I think I feel worse, Stoner. Just because of a lot of the things that ailed us and caused us to have those 3 unranked losses last year showed up glaringly in week 1. You talk about effort, you talk about toughness, you talk about discipline, not being able to stop the run, not being able to run the football. These are all reasons why we didn't make the CFP last year. And so for that to transition over into week 1, carry over into week 1, that is alarming to me, because essentially that is who we are right now. You know what I mean? That is who we are as a team. We're not disciplined. We're soft. We don't have great effort. We don't have 11 people pursuing to the ball. We're not running the football. We're not stopping the run. These are all things that don't correlate to winning football. So right now, Alabama has a lot of work to do, and that's who we are. We got to own it, and we got to live up to it, and we got a lot of work to do right now.
All right, your head coach, Kalen DeBoer, saying this after the game: "I choose to believe we have a good football team." Does that quote do anything for you?
I don't know what that means, Coach. I mean, I don't know what that means, Stoner. Like, Coach, I said it to you, like, imagine getting your stuff handed to you, getting a foot put in your butt, and then going to say that. Like, I love Kalen DeBoer, but, like, rip into this team for me, please. Like, rip into your players for me. Coach, like, I don't know, man. I don't love the results, and I don't love the press conference either, man. And I'm a fan of Kalen DeBoer. I'm a fan of Alabama. I'm Alabama through and through, roll tide through and through. But right now, the sentiment around our program is nobody is extremely excited about what just transpired last week on Saturday.
You just wonder, Mark, in this day and age of transfer portal and all that, I know what I would have said, and it wouldn't have been that, you know. And
what would you have said, Coach?
I don't know. And I mean, we've all been there. You know, every coach has been there. Nick Saban has been there.
Yes.
So let's throw that out there. But it's also we're at a inflection point in my mind for Alabama. I went back because I heard and I watched some snaps, very un-Alabama-esque.
Man.
And I'm not talking about strategy. That has nothing to do with this. But 11, think about what Mark just said. Alabama Crimson Tide. 11 guys weren't running to the ball. They're not coming screaming off the line of scrimmage. They're not hitting you right square in the jug on defense. You know, all the things, once again, 3-4, 4-3, run it, throw it. We're not talking about that. So, you know, I would have said something like, I'm going to rip this team apart bit by bit, and we're going to put this thing back together, because I think they're at that point. What I saw, I think they're at that point. And but I don't know if he can say that. What he says and what he does, and also you better have some grown ass men in that locker room. And I don't know the roster, but you better have some Mark Ingrams and Jack Sawyers and Joey Bosa's and those kind of guys that rally you. Because if you have the opposite, I don't say they're done, but they're close to done. If they have a soft locker room, Mark, and I don't know that. You know more than I do about that. If they have grown-ass men, they'll be, it's a long season.
Yeah. They have some alpha dogs. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, they have some alpha dogs in there. They were missing Team Keenan, their anchor on the defensive line. They were missing Jam Miller. I think Ty Simpson did a great job, giving a lot of effort. He tried his best. But at the same time, Coach, there's nothing you can improve schematically if we're not having the effort and the toughness and the attitude to go, hit somebody in the mouth and change their will and change the way they're thinking, especially on the road in a tough week 1 matchup against a Florida State team who has a chip on the shoulder, who's talking mess to you. So there's nothing schematically you could do if you don't have that toughness and the effort. So I think there's a lot of stuff that we have to work on in Tuscaloosa, man.
It's amazing, Mark. In 1965, toughness and effort won. In 1990 and 2010 and 2025 and 25 years from now, the game of football still, it can be spread, it can be wishbone, but toughness and effort wins. And if you don't have that,
you're in for a long.
And maybe they do. It's still early.
It's still early. It's week 1.
Yes.
I'm not an overreactor here. They can easily go and clean this thing up and be in the CFP like we think. Sure. Like I think they can be.
Well, there's talent there.
There has to be talent. It's Alabama.
I watched the practice and I'm sitting here I just saw Texas. I just saw Ohio State. Alabama looks just like that, if not better. There's not a team in the country that has more talent on the roster than Alabama. So we got to get this thing going in the right direction. I believe they can.
Is a great coach. He won everywhere. So, but he's up against it.
Might be a bad week to be Louisiana Monroe, who is in Tuscaloosa this weekend. And then the Badgers come down to SEC country. And then, Mark, it's a bye week heading into Alabama at Georgia. And yeah, right. I do feel like it's an inflection point, and things have to change now.
Stoner.
Like
I don't
today,
even want to
this
talk
week.
about Alabama at Georgia.
You want to talk about Louisiana Monroe, huh?
Yeah,
you want to
because
get
one quick story. We had an inflection point moment at Florida. We got our ass kicked in by LSU. We had a bye week. We went 4 or 5 straight days full pads. I felt we were soft that day, and this is 2005, and we had 2 weeks to get ready for the cocktail party against Georgia. We moved one of our middle linebackers over to fullback. We went the next week full pads, and pulled the pads off on Wednesday. And they rallied back, and we won most of the games for the next few years after that. So that was an inflection point moment. I just don't know if you can do that now. I don't.
Hey, you will get knocked down in a game of football. It's all about how you respond. So how this team responds to this adversity, responds to this, will tell us a lot about how this season will be moving forward. So I'm looking forward. I think they have the right guys in the locker room. I think we have the right guy leading us as the head coach and our coaching staff. So we will see how everyone responds, and that will say a lot about this team and what we will see moving forward from the Crimson Tide.
Don't bail on Bama yet, but boy, the talk radio down there in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Coach DeBoer, you might want to just go to satellite radio and just put on some yacht rock, like
one
something
last
to calm
thing.
down.
One last thing, Stoner.
Yeah.
Roll damn Tide.
All right, how about the Buckeyes rolling, if you will, slightly over Texas? That was the big game of the week, number 1 versus number 3. That it was crazy how the line was changing throughout the course of the week, and then the last 24 hours, the Buckeyes were home favorite, and then it turned the Texas way. In the end, a narrow 14-7 win for the Buckeyes. We're going to talk Arch Manning in a second, Coach. We're going to talk the coordinators at Ohio State in a moment. But let's just start with giving the Buckeyes their due. What did you see from the defending national champs in that 7-point win over Texas?
I saw 2 new coordinators, and they managed the game spectacular. It was only 203 yards total offense with Brian Hartline and Ryan Day, but I thought they managed it perfectly. I actually talked with Coach Day last night, and the only thing I would have probably punted the ball early in the game and played field position a little bit more, but him and Coach Sarkisian went for it and kind of put their quarterbacks in, tough field position, or the defense in tough field position. But 2 excellent defenses. I think you're going to see 2 much different teams week 5, 6 once these quarterbacks get their feet underneath them. Yeah. Talent's there. My concern, not with the Buckeyes. let's give our due to Matt Patricia. I went and watched every snap over and over again for Big Ten Network, getting ready for that yesterday. He kept them off guard. And you can say what you want about Arch Manning, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Mark, no one was open. There was about three, and you mentioned one, a shallow cross where he came over and he threw it behind him a little bit. But for the most part, guys were not open, and he was getting pressured.
He was. Yeah, he was getting pressured, and he had a tough day. But, like, he had a couple of opportunities. He had a bad interception to Wingo to the right, and then that third down shallow cross I'm telling you about in the most crucial moment of the game where you expect, your guy to be able to make the throw. He threw a high and behind, and if he had completed that pass, we might be having a different discussion today because it was a lot of room to run after that play. But Arch Manning will be just fine. But Ohio State is good, man. Ohio State is a really good football team. They were playing
better than you
defense.
expected, Mark.
Yeah,
I think
they
were better than expected for me, at least.
100%. 100%. That defense picked up right where they left off a year ago. Julian Sand is everything that we think he is, and he's going to be a good player. Like, he was an Alabama commit.
It didn't feel too big for Sand, right?
No,
he felt
was
very
chill.
comfortable. There were never like these scattered type
No
moments.
mistakes.
They let him just they kept everything. They did have the wraps on him.
Yeah.
But you know what? They should have. No, I thought it was excellent.
No mistakes. They did not lose that football game. They didn't have penalties. They didn't have turnovers. He had throws that receivers were dropping. He didn't make any bad throws that I can think of off the top of my head. He managed the game like a veteran. The moment wasn't too big for him. So Julian saying in this defense, Ohio State is as advertised.
Here's the one knock I would say about saying, and this is minor, but it's also pretty major. Your best player is Jeremiah Smith. When there's a play called for him and it's a 50-50, get it to him.
Yeah.
Like feed your beast, right? Like don't get him frustrated, because Jeremiah Smith was really frustrated for a majority of Saturday. Listen, he's going to get this all season long, Coach, right? He's going to get doubled and bracketed and this and that. He's never going to see one-on-one attention.
With you, Rob, in a first start, the Jeremiah Smith's no different than anyone else. You in the first start against that defense, you can now he'll learn. Like I said, week 5, 6, he'll start to figure it out. Right now, make sure that ball is going to a guy in a scarlet jersey accurately, and if not, throw it away. You cannot do that. Now, if Ohio State had a defense that was kind of taking it a little bit and getting pushed around a little bit, that's a whole different animal. But what I would have been saying to him the whole game, manage the game. Man, I would never have said, hey, let's get it to Jeremiah. Not yet.
You think? I bet Jeremiah was saying, let's get it to Jeremiah.
Jeremiah's got a job doing. That's not worry about getting the ball right.
Stoner, the only time that I thought that he should have went to Jeremiah where he didn't was the 4th down early in the game. Jeremiah was one-on-one on the deep post. He had him. He had him. But he also made the right decision in throwing it to the tight end, who is a great player in his own right, and he dropped it. Then Jeremiah had 2 drops after.
That's all going to come.
Yeah.
That's all gonna come.
I thought Sand played I was very impressed with this young player.
Not knocking him. Again, I'm just saying, you got the best player in college football. Get it to him.
He went
Get
to
it to
him.
him. I know.
Early,
I'm not as patient as you guys are.
The best
right?
player dropped 2 balls, so let's.
It was all the gloves. It was glove problems.
I think it was frustration from the 4th down when he took them up top. And he didn't up top pork chop. It would have been that starting up the band, Coach. You know what I mean? But man, Ohio State is impressive, man. They're going to be a problem.
Yeah,
sure.
better than we thought. Remember, 2 new coordinators, only 3 returners on offense and defense. I didn't think they were going to get it done, but that defense was really impressive. We're going to talk about Patricia in a moment, but let's get to the name of the game. It was Arch Manning, right? We spent on Big Noon Kickoff. We spent so much time hyping this young man, his DNA, his arms, his legs, his acumen, everything about him. Coach, I'm curious. Let's start with this. His demeanor, right? Just his demeanor. What did you see? What did you see from him? Whether it was his body movement, his nonverbals, as the leader of that Texas offense.
I've watched every snap Arch Manning has taken. Every single snap from last year to obviously this, and then I got up the next morning, Sunday morning, watched and really slowly watched it. And here I'm going to give you just grades right down the thing. Athleticism, it was actually better than I thought. His escapability, he had a 3rd down, or I think it was 2nd and 14. He scrambled for 1st down, and that's the other side. Those are cats now. That's an SEC style defense he was facing. So, athleticism I thought was good. It was actually better than I thought. His accuracy was not good. His accuracy, shockingly, was not good. His decisions at times were just okay. There was a couple, the underthrown ball in the deep on the interception. He threw, I think it was to Tampa, and he threw an in route right into the defender. Arm strength and release, excellent. He threw his post corner route, I believe, in the fourth quarter to his right. I mean, that was a sideline to sideline throw, and he shot that thing out there.
Yeah,
but here's the shock, Mark. He didn't have a completion over 10 yards until the fourth quarter. So back to your question, and Brady Quinn and Matt Leinart said this to me on the sideline. I think a quarterback's job is to elevate those around him. I think that's as important as completing a swing route or a post route. That's your job.
Yes.
That's the job of a quarterback. I didn't see great demeanor. I didn't see the energy. I didn't see the face butt. I didn't see the great quarterbacks I've been around. I didn't see him grab jerseys of guys. And I was trying to watch that from a coach's perspective because sure enough, everyone's going to look at the strategy piece. So I would say he's going to have to learn. And maybe that's just not his personality, but I think it's got to become his personality, certainly to lead a team. So I think he'll be a completely different player in 4 to 5 weeks. I think there's no doubt the skill set's there to be an elite player. The receivers have got to get much better. The receivers didn't help him much Saturday.
Yeah.
But I'm anxious to see how he develops as a player because you even said it on Big Noon. Potential first pick in the NFL draft, Heisman Trophy, and I'm going, oh my God, wait, whoa, stop.
All those scouts were there, GMs were there as well.
Other than Tim Tebow, I've never seen more pressure on one player in my lifetime than Arch Manning. The expectations are, when I was coaching Tim, because he'd worry about it. As they're all human, they're human, and so Sark's got his hands cut, other than he's a wonderful dude from a great family, and he's so talented. Watch for him to be a monster here in the last half of the season, but it's going to take a minute.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is, yes, the job of a quarterback is to elevate those around him, but when you have a new quarterback coming into a hostile environment in week 1, it's your team's job to elevate you and make your job as easy as possible. And I don't think necessarily that happened for Arch. You know what I mean? The defense played extremely well. They had a penalty that led to a touchdown, which they lost by 7 points. They had a penalty who took a safety off the board. That's 9 points. They lost by 7. So there's some situations in the game, some mistakes in the game where the team didn't necessarily help Arch either. So I think, a quarterback, especially a veteran quarterback, is supposed to elevate the players around him. When you have a young quarterback like Ohio State did for Julian Sand, everyone else elevated their level of play, and that's why they were able to be successful. So
let me add this about the game too, and Sark's a great coach, but there's those moments of a game. When a receiver drops a ball, it's part of the game.
Yep.
When the right tackle gets beat, that's part of the game. But as a coach, that red zone call that Rob and I were about 6 yards away from it. The goal line sneak, when there was about 7,000 pounds of humanity between the tackles. And if you notice, Caleb Downs and the linebackers right on the snap, I don't care if that was whoever.
Yes.
A big
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
He ain't getting in. And so that's that one moment where Sark, I joke around all the time about about 2 a.m, you wake up for the next 3 hours.
Ceiling fan.
You're staring at that ceiling fan and say, why did we call that?
Yeah.
Spread the field. There is no chance any human being that exists on the planet is getting in.
They ran him a couple times down there, Coach, on that drive as well.
Right.
For one,
and it went nowhere.
Right.
The earlier in the drive, they did the 4th and 1. They did the 4th and 1. And he barely got it. Barely.
I'm not sure he did.
It was by the linesman, the judge lineman marked him, but I didn't think they got it. So I would not have ran that same play on the goal line. And
we were right there, Mark,
yes.
Rob and I. And I mean, we're looking, I'm counting the people, and I was like, there's no way. Don't do this.
Texas, 4 turnovers on downs, 2 red zone opportunities with no points. That loses you the game in a week 1 on the road against the defending national champions.
Yep.
So
here's a good thing, Rob. In the BCS era, that's a major hit.
Yep.
The college football playoff era, it's a learning moment.
Yep.
You can lose one more, Texas, and you're still in the playoff.
Correct. And I don't know if they're going to lose one more, but I just want to see. You know what I want to see from Arch? I don't want the shoulders forward. I want this, right?
Yeah.
I want that chest out. I want some arm. And, I think he came alive, at some point in the fourth quarter. Like those first
When it was too
quarters
late.
almost seemed like he was in a haze. Maybe it was what the Ohio State Buckeye D was doing to him, some things that he had never seen before. Things are faster, things are bigger, right? But there'll be better days for Arch. But guess what, Arch? You're still going to be scrutinized as much as you were in week 1, in week 2, in week 3, and week 4. That's what you get when your name is Arch Manning. So
Fair
that
or
was
not fair?
Correct. That was our fresh take of the week presented by Wendy's. Wake up with Wendy's breakfast. Time now. Mark, you ready for this? Okay. It is the deuce dog of the week. And we're not talking like underdogs. We're not like making some picks. We're just talking your deuce dog of the week.
Dog.
The guy that impressed you. What were we saying a couple weeks ago? All aboard the Nuss bus?
All aboard the Nuss bus. Man, I'm telling you, Stoner, man, this dude right here, I don't know what everybody's talking about, but maybe, from the losses that they had last year, maybe, it was a little disrespect behind the Meyer name this year, but he came out in week 1 and he balled until he falled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not the dog of the week, it's the big cat of the week because it's the LSU Tiger, Garrett Nussmeier. 28-38, 230 yards and a touchdown. And you're like, oh, that stat line, it's okay. But the way he managed the game, the way he was efficient, the way his receivers balled, the way the running backs balled, the way the defense was flying around playing football, this LSU Tiger football team looks like a problem. They are nice. LSU is nice.
By the way, the conversations we would have been having had LSU lost at Clemson, it would have been, what is the state of the SEC, right?
Right.
Texas losing, Alabama losing, LSU losing in week 1. And again, all of those would have been on the road against, pretty strong programs. I know Florida State bouncing back. But I think that LSU win in Death Valley kind of settled that conversation down. And by the way, how good would it have been for the ACC, right? Florida State getting the win, Miami getting the win over Notre Dame. If Clemson was able to get that, we talk about sticking the chest out and the shoulders back, right? That would have been the ACC, right? Strutting around in week 1. You guys want to overreact that we're that good? Fine. Bring it on, man.
Hey, man, but listen, we're talking about all playoff teams here. Like, every team we're
100%.
talking about is like teams we're going to see here in 3-4 months in the playoffs. So, but dog of the week, the Nussmeier. He went
All
crazy.
aboard the Nuss
LSU
bus.
is looking real deal right now, and it's a lot to do with their quarterback, the Nuss.
And Coach Kelly finally getting that week 1 win, right? That had been eluding him for so long down there in Baton Rouge. All right, coming up next, we continue to work our way through the best performances from a loaded week 1. And coming up later, how about this? We're going to go out to Ames. Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell joins us ahead of their huge matchup with Iowa this Saturday. It's all coming your way next on the Triple Option.
Light it.
Welcome back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Rob, Mark, Irvin back here with you. Time to go 3 and out. Our top 3 performances of week 1. Coach starts. And Coach, man, you're going coordinator heavy this week.
I am. So many great performances in week 1, but I'm going to start it with my hometown Buckeyes. Matt Patricia was a great hire by Ryan Day. Matt Patricia, Mark, I'm not sure people realize this. He was the D coordinator, learned under Bill Belichick, went to be a head coach, and then he went back to the Patriots and actually called plays on offense. So he has complete knowledge, offense, defense, and I've known him a long time. So his performance, his defense's performance, first of all, they're loaded. They're saying the back end of the defense might be better than last year. He held him to 7 points, 1 of 5 on 4th down, which was a difference in the game, including the goal line stand. The Texas Arch Manning did complete a pass over 10 yards to the fourth quarter. So he is number 1 of the top 3 performances of week 1. Number 2, a guy I got great respect for many, many years. We started his run game forever. He's the offense coordinator at Florida State, Gus Malzahn. They just beat Bama. 7 players combined for, think about this, 7 players. This is Gus Malzahn. 7 players combined for rushing the ball 46 times for 236 yards, 5.1. But it's 7 players. So that's tell you it's coming from every angle. Receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. We copied them all the time. They only threw the ball 14 times, Mark, for 152 yards. But once again, that's Gus Malzahn. He'll throw it when he needs to throw it. Yep.
Coach, you don't have to throw it when you're running it down somebody's throat and making them like it.
and 2 for 2 on 4th down. Again, that's Gus Malzahn because he's a creative run game guy. So he's beaten Alabama 5 times as a head coach, as a coordinator, which is
how many losses
on a plaque sometime.
Can we say the losses?
Mark, that's a former Barner. That's a former Barner beating your Tide.
We need to say the losses.
And how about this cat, man? I watched that game real close. Blake Baker, I don't know him, LSU defense coordinator, but man, did they play hard on defense. And the cameras were on him, and I remember I was trying to look him up, but he's been there for 2 years. Last year they did a little bit better because it's hard to say this. LSU's struggled on I never knew LSU to struggle on defense, but they did. 2 years ago, last year a little better. This year they look legit. They held a Heisman Trophy front runner, Klubnik, to 260 total yards at Clemson. He was only 19 of 38 and a pick. So those are my 3 top performers. I went with the coordinators. Obviously, the players play, coaches coach, but I thought those 3 were excellent.
By the way, those 3 might be head coaches at this juncture next season.
Oh, Gus, I think Gus is done. I think Gus is done. I think Gus.
Oh, you think he's happy just being a coordinator and sitting back, not in the big chair?
I think in this new era, I think Gus he's a little bit like Chip Kelly in my mind. I know both of them pretty well. I don't know Gus that well, but he's a football nut job that wants to call plays.
And by the way, the Patricia signing didn't get a whole lot of attention. Like, not a lot of folks were talking about it. I agree. That might have been the offseason acquisition of the year, at least in the coordinator mode.
And just to clarify this, he has he's 3-5 against Alabama. Gus Malzahn is, so he does have his 5 losses as a head coach, and then as a coordinator overall 5-7. So he does have a losing record against Alabama.
Correct.
Just have to
an Alabama correction over there.
Just because I mean we're getting bashed, we deserve it, but I mean we need some respect to it.
How about you looking up that fast?
I don't think he looked it up.
Yeah, man,
I don't think he looked it up, Coach.
I got some
I think
stuff,
he's got
man.
people. I think he's got people back there
I got
helping him out. Let's go look at that chat.
Shout out to the Z man. I had to ask him. He got back to me real quick. You know what I mean? Nah.
Z's unbelievable.
He is. He's the GOAT.
All right, Mark, time for your 3 and out.
Oh, my 3 and out? You want that 3 and out? Well, I'm going to start with your boy down there in South Beach. Your boy Carson Beck. Everyone wondering, is Beck going to do this? Is Beck going to do that? Guess what Beck going to do? He going to ball. He going to ball 20 for 31, 205 yards and 2 touchdowns, 27-24 win over Notre Dame on the road.
No, that was in Miami.
It was home. I lied.
Does that Miami win change your perspective on what you think about the Hurricanes this season?
It does change the way their ceiling. I feel like they're a playoff team. I feel like they're a playoff team. Carson Beck, it wasn't just the numbers and his performance. It was his energy, his leadership, how he was turned up, like talking mess, like getting his people fired up on the sideline. Then that Miami defense looks significantly better than it did a year ago. They were putting pressure on the quarterback. When you have, I don't know if they would have finished that game last year how they did last night. They had 2 or 3 sacks to finish the game, and essentially the time ran out on Notre Dame. So
yeah, the Notre Dame offensive line looked tired. They looked a little gassed right there. That South Florida humidity got to them, maybe.
Yep, it was nighttime, man. If you want to play in South Florida, you play at night, and they got the chance. So that was your best opportunity. But no, I thought Carson Beck it was a big question mark. Was he going to continue to play that he had from a year ago where he was probably the number 1 pick, but he ended up coming back? And then he comes to Miami and really just balled, man. He looked like a leader. He looked refreshed. He looked like he was having fun. And
he took care of the ball.
Yep.
There you go. There you go. Because those turnovers last season were a big bugaboo.
Talent has never been an issue with him. It's just take care of the damn ball, and he did.
And defense, Coach. They play defense. Miami Hurricanes are playing defense.
Yeah.
That's a problem here in the SEC.
I think the ACC's back this year. I think the ACC is back. Clemson is going to be really good. And, oh, by the way, your next guy, Florida State, their quarterback is going to make some believers out of the Knowles.
Man, I'm telling you, man, this kid, Tommy Castellanos, the transfer from Boston College, he goes back in the summer, he drops his nuts like a grown man that says, they ain't nothing. They ain't got Coach Saban to save them. They can't stop me. And guess what he does, Stoner? Guess what he does, Coach? He goes out there, he makes Bama eat his words. And I respect it. For you to go out there and put yourself out there and say that, then go out there and back it up.
Mm-hmm. Against Bama.
Against Bama.
Bama, yeah.
I respect this kid, and I'm a fan of this kid because He did that. He did that for sure. He made Bama eat his words. He went out there and there was no answer for him. They couldn't stop him. And guess who couldn't save him? Coach Saban. So, hey, man, Tommy C, man, shout out to you, man. You did my boys wrong, but I hope you do it to the rest of the folks all year long. And it made me feel a lot better about myself. But still, roll damn tide.
I hear you. Number 3?
Number 3, that Ohio State Buckeye defense. You talk about dogs who led them and carried them to a national title run last year. It was this defense. They had several wins off the back of their defense, and they come and translate straight to week 1, picking up where they left off. This defense held Texas They stopped them on turnover on downs 4 times, stopped them in the red zone 2 times, interception. This team right here, this defense right here, is going to pick up right where they left off, and they are right here in the national championship conversation again. Shout out to the Ohio State defense, getting them a win again.
Yeah, and think of the studs that were on the sideline watching the Buckeye defense.
Jack Sawyer was back there.
Jack Sawyer was there. JT was there, right? Like those are big holes to fill. And man, that Buckeye defense,
they just reloaded.
I think the Buckeye defense is what's changing the perspective of a lot of people. That
hey, Coach,
you know what? Maybe Ohio State can actually go back to back for the first time ever.
I was over there on the sideline, bro. I was over on the sideline. I'm talking to Shazier. He said they got that BBL. I'm like, what? He's like, he got that big black linebackers. Hey, them boys out there running around smacking stuff. They got that BBL. Big
smacking
black,
it.
You're smacking big BBL,
Smacking
big
it.
black linebackers. And they running around hitting people in the mouth. Ohio State defense back again.
All right, time for my 3 and out. Let's go to Ann Arbor. How about the true freshman? Bryce Underwood, 34-17 win over New Mexico in his first start, 21-31, 251, a touchdown. Did you see that block that he had down there in the red zone as well? I mean, he's a big cat. He does not look like a true freshman. He's laying out some linebacker or defensive lineman. I don't know who the hell he hit, but he hit somebody to clear a path as well. Completed 4 passes of 25 yards or more last week. Last season, Michigan, and again, they had no vertical game. They had no pass game. They only had 6 such plays the entire year. It's clear how much his head coach, Sharon Moore, enjoys his enthusiasm and play. Bryce Underwood, man, whatever Michigan paid for him, and they paid a lot for him, it paid off in week 1.
You know, just a little asterisk there. You know who could have been an honorable mention? Is his running back, Justice Haynes.
I'm going to get to him later.
My bad.
Yeah, because they got a big one with Oklahoma
he left Bama
this week.
too. What's going on?
Yeah, I know. That was part of it as well. Number 2, Coach, you're going to like this one. This is going to perk you up. Let's talk about Utah and their new quarterback, Devin Dampier Jr. He's got a little Kyler Murray in him right now. Sits there at 5'10". He's from the Phoenix area, transferred in from New Mexico. Utah schmacked. Did I say it right, Mark?
Schmacked.
Utah schmacked UCLA.
Schmacked.
43-10 in the Rose Bowl. Dampier, 206, 2 touchdowns. On the ground, 87 yards, another touchdown. The Utes on third down, guys, 14 of 16. And this is a team, Coach, and you know it. They went 5-7 last year, 2-7 in the conference. It felt to me, maybe to you as well, like it was a statement game that the Utes are back, and so is their offense.
Well, Kyle Whittingham, I talk to him all the time, and they not only got the player, they got their coordinator. So they brought in the offense coordinator, and there was a package deal, and they get this, and he loves them. He said this guy's going to be all over the field to go. Game 1 into UCLA, where some guys are picking UCLA to be much better, and I looked at the stats. It was complete beating. But look at the stats, 21-25 or 206, and you just said 14-16 on third downs. I don't know if I've ever heard of that. So great win for Kyle and Utah.
All right, time for my number 3, and he's our new teammate. How about the debut of Dave Portnoy and Big Noon Kickoff? He leaned into that heel role. He was antagonizing everybody in Columbus. He was standing up for the Big Ten. He was getting the crowd going. He was downright enjoying himself. And it was a lot of fun to finally meet Dave. And it was great to see the energy and the enthusiasm and maybe some of the conversations that he was able to bring to the Big Noon kickoff team this week. In week number 1, we had dinner with them. We were hanging out with them. There was a lot of this, Mark, just a lot of like, what's going on right now? Like, just stand back and let Dave Portnoy just go do Dave Portnoy things, right?
Yeah, let Dave do his thing. This is what rivalries are all about. You hate each other, then you go have a slice of pizza with them. So Dave was the man, bro. He had a great day. We had a great addition to the Big Noon Kickoff for sure.
Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell joins us next on The Triple Option presented by Wendy's, and we're going to make our week 2 picks with a 2-minute drill. Welcome back to The Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Rob, Mark, Urban back here with you. We are now joined by the winningest head coach in Iowa State football history. Matt Campbell joins us. 10th year in Ames coach. That's amazing. But according to Coach Meyer, you were this close, coach, to being – wait, was he going to be on your staff, Urban?
Not this close. He took it. So I get hired at Ohio State, and I knew of Matt from his Mount Union days and Bowling Green days, and I saturated myself in calling all my high school coaches and Matt Campbell, you need Mike Campbell, you got to hire. I was like, oh shit, I better call Matt Campbell. So I called him, and we've been somewhat friendly. We didn't know each other that well, but he was a defense coordinator at Toledo. Tim Beckman just left to go to Illinois, and he had a job to go to Illinois. And I said, I'd really like to have you here in Ohio State. And he's like, let's go, let's talk about it. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, that I kind of remember is like, this is a wrap. I got me a hell of a coach here, and Matt Campbell. And then I said, okay, let's work this out. I'll call you tomorrow or something. Then he calls me the next day, and he says, hey, they want me to interview at Toledo as a head coach for the head coaching position. I was thinking, Matt, you're so young. There's no chance he's getting this. So I said, sure, good luck to you and all that. And I'm thinking, I got me a coach. I mean, he calls me like 3 days later. I said, how'd it go? He said, really well. I'm like, oh, damn. And a few days later, the new head coach at Toledo is Matt Campbell. And very few in this profession I respect more. Matt and I are close. We used to meet every year. I just got tremendous respect for him. And I can't wait to see him. As first time I'm going to see Ames, Iowa, and a program that you've built as one of the most respected out there. So great to have you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. And we really look forward to having you. And, Coach Meyer gave me great advice. I remember even asking you during that process of, man, Coach, what do you think I should do? And he said, you better go interview for that job. That's a great job. And from that day forward, Coach has always been a great mentor of mine. And I really appreciate all he's done for me, for sure.
Yeah, Coach, you started the year with a tough conference game versus Kansas State in Ireland, then South Dakota, and this week in week 3, you have a rivalry game versus Iowa. What are you learning about your team with this demanding schedule in the first 3 weeks of the season?
Well, I think we went into our off season here, and we had a successful season a year ago, and I think anytime you have success in our sport, the challenge is, are you tough enough and do you have enough courage to grow and get better? And, uniquely, I think this offseason and having this schedule that we did, having to travel to Ireland, really nobody's really come off of the Ireland trip in college football and really had success in a football season. Obviously coming back and playing a really good South Dakota team and then playing another rival. Uniquely, we were playing 2 rival games in the first 3 weeks of our season. And, I think it was probably the right recipe for myself, our staff, and our kids since from January on to say, buddy, you better be ready to bring it. And our toughness and our character and who we are is going to be challenged from day one. And so, I thought our kids really had a great January through February and really had a great all season. I thought, we took that mentality into spring and really grew. And then I thought we had a really physical and demanding summer and fall camp. And I thought at least allowed us to be mentally prepared for the start of the football season. And again, I think we're just going to keep finding out about ourselves, right? I mean, this is not 2 games doesn't define anything other than the fact of the matter of it is like we're growing and we have to continue to grow forward, especially this week against this opponent if we want to continue to have the success we want to have.
I think this is really – I have 2 questions for you, Matt, Coach Campbell. When you start the season, Kansas State and then Iowa, there's a lot of intensity, and then you got to pull those pads off quicker. So kind of talk about if you're not starting, you don't really tell your team much, and you don't tell your coaches. I used to just kind of keep that between me and maybe our strength coach. But the intensity level, you better start camp fast and hard, because when you open up with a conference game, you want your guys to be healthy, fresh. When you open up, talk to the viewer about when you open with a rivalry in a conference game, and then you're you got the Iowa game. How intense is the first part, and then you back off as training camp goes?
Yeah, I think you're so right, Coach. And we spent a lot of time dissecting how the heck are we gonna, my strength coach and myself, how are we gonna unload this fall camp? We got to tackle well right out of the gate. We better block really well and get off blocks really well and we better be able to run the football really well early in the season if we want to have success. And the only way I know how to do that is to physically practice and compete at a really high level. You got to practice, you got to tackle, you got to scrimmage. And so I think the first 2.5, 3 weeks of camp, probably the most physical. I think both of our scrimmages were 124 and 130 plays of live football. And so I think we got more live football early in fall camp. I thought we did a really good job tapering down. And then honestly, coming off of Ireland has been the biggest trick, right? How are you going to practice? Fortunately for me, Nick Sirianni and I were roommates in college, and, kind of got a little bit of what they did at the Eagles, what he thought they did well, what they didn't do well last year, which was good because I think, there's a point of pulling back when we got back from Ireland that was critical if we were going to play the way we needed to play last weekend, and then obviously moving forward. And so I think we're still trying to find that right balance to be great this weekend. But at least the first 2 weeks, I thought it really helped us trying to find that balance of early physicality, pulling back and being physically prepared to play the game.
On Big Noon Kickoff, I'm going to cover the quarterback-coach relationship, and your quarterback said something after the big win in Ireland against Kansas State where I believe he checked to a player, maybe it was a two-way, three-way, but once you get a veteran quarterback that you really trust, JT Barrett, Alex Matibo, something like that, basically he's a coach on the field. I tell people he's actually the primary play caller if you give him a lot of freedom. Has he earned that right? Does he, during the course of game, do you let him go if he sees something, can he go to it? Has he earned that right and trust quarterback?
Yeah, he certainly has, Coach. I think one of the things that's been fun for us, and probably, again, a growth process for me as a head football coach, we were fortunate, kind of like you when you had Josh at Bowling Green, and obviously, what you had at Utah. I think for me, having Brock Purdy, kind of going through this very similar transition, Brock's junior and senior year, where you were able to give so much more of the playbook to Brock. I think Rocco just is such an unbelievable student of the game. He's the first guy here. Shoot, he beats half the staff at times to the facilities, that kind of kid. And he's curious. He wants to know what it takes. And I love it. And I've always felt like if the quarterback and the head coach have a very similar mentality and relationship, then it can really dictate the flow of the locker room, let alone, in those 60 minutes in a football game, making sure that there's poise and there's precision in what's going on. And, we're really fortunate to have that with Rocco. He's a guy that he has absolute control of the offense. We put a lot on his plate. And in the critical moments, most importantly, he's a guy that's got the ability to handle the game. And that's been huge for us. And if you look at our success a year ago and this year, boy, those things like, the last 2 minutes of the half, the last 2 minutes of games, the amount of plays that guy's made in critical moments to win us football games. And it's a tribute to his time, effort, and energy in this facility when nobody's watching, being prepared for those moments.
Before I turn over to Mark real quick, is there a percentage, without giving away too much, can he go during the course of the game? Will you let him? I know there's parameters, but if he sees something, has he earned that right?
He certainly has, Coach, and I think by about the midway point of last season, he was really at that point in his career, and which was early. That was his sophomore year last year, but he's played a lot of football, and he's a guy that, again, is trusted, and he's always done that with great trust from myself, our offensive coordinator, everybody involved. So I really I love what he's about. I love what his mental makeup is and his consistency when he's made the right calls. He's always done it with great precision.
Coach, we are headed to Ames this weekend, Big Noon kickoff for the Cy-Hawk Trophy battle against your rival, Iowa. For those that don't know much about this game and what it means inside that state and maybe what it means for the Big 12 and the Big 10 this year, give us kind of a quick little reader's guide version of what this rivalry game is all about and what it means for you guys.
Yeah, I think obviously the thing that makes this really special is, there are no pro sports in the state of Iowa. And so, you're talking about the two, Power Four universities that play Power Four football in this state. And I think, half the state grows up Cyclones, half the state grows up Hawkeyes. And so I think it's made it a really special rivalry. And for both universities and programs, it makes it a really, really fascinating game. I think the thing for us that it's been rewarding is to continue to grow this rivalry. When we got here, the success that Iowa and Coach Ferentz has had over the long haul and the consistency of football that they played, we were trying to get our football program to that point. And I think the point now of getting ourselves there and being able to make this a true rival football game has been really rewarding. Obviously, we got great respect for them and their program, but it makes this game special, and it also makes it unique that you play it so early. I'm used to rival games before I came here. Rival games were played at the end of the season, and to have a game that means so much and certainly is so unique, and having it at the beginning of the season is obviously it's a great challenge, but it's also a great opportunity to set your team up for great success going forward.
Coach, you're the winningest coach in Iowa State history. You have had several job offers to leave Iowa State. Why have you been so loyal to Ames and the Cyclones?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think for me, really young still, I'm only 45 years old. And I think one of the things that, when COVID hit, I think there was some reality, and perception and reality at that point of, man, you're at home. We've got 4 kids and you're like, holy smokes, man. This is what goes on at home every day, I think since that time, I think what I realized is, number one, you always want to surround yourself with great people. And one of the things, we've had the same athletic director, the same president here during my time, which they've been tremendous supporters of myself and our program. Number two, you want to do what's right for your family. And it's been a great place for me to raise our kids here. I've got a daughter now that's going to be a senior, a daughter that's a junior. We haven't moved all over. It's been a great place to raise our children. And then number three, and I think probably most important is, as the world continues to be unique around us, you get to stand for something. And I do think when you come and you watch our football team play, we haven't flinched of who we want to be and what we want to stand for. And, I'm really proud of what our program's about. I'm really proud of where we were to where we are now. Is it easy here? It's not. Is a lot easier other places? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But the reality of it is, for us, we know who we are. We know what we're about. We know what we stand for. And for that part of it, I'm really proud of it. So I think those three things have been really the main reasons for me of why I've been here.
I want to I want to go hardcore football here for a minute. So you're facing Iowa. Phil Parker's, you know him as well as anybody. I coached against him many, many times. And when you get ready for a team, it's almost mind-boggling when you look up at the grease board and you see high percentages of 4-3 cover. They just don't do much. Yet they are so in it. At some point, you think they'd get exotic because there's other defenses, Rob Mark, you will look up there and it's 2% this, 4%, 8%. I'm telling you, it's 85% for it. It's crazy. But they are so good at stopping your 5 best plays and run and pass. Have they changed much? Or, you see these cats every week. It's a phenomenon to me how good they are and how they develop their players, but they don't do much on defense.
Yeah, I think you're so right, Coach. And I think what they're so great at is their fundamental and technique. And what they make you better be great at is you better have elite fundamental and technique on the other side of it. Because if not, they're going to make you pay really fast. And, I think that's what's been the staple, what they do. They know how to make their adjustments, shift, trade, motion, whatever you want to do. You want to play fast. Whatever those are, they know how to get their feet set. They know how to get their eyes right, and they know how to win on their first 2 steps. And so I think that's the great challenge against this Iowa team. And Coach Parker does an unbelievable job. He's going to get their kids in the right position. He's going to let their kids get vertical, and they're going to tackle really well. They're going to do everything in their power to win the turnover margin. And, when you have vision of the football, you can turn the ball over, and they've done it as good as anybody. And so, I think that is certainly the great challenge for us is fundamentally and technically, we're going to have to be outstanding.
We've labeled the Big 12 as a wide open conference this season. How would you describe the Big 12?
Yeah, I think probably really fair. I think there's a lot of veteran quarterbacks this year in the Big 12. A lot of guys have played a lot of football coming back. I think over the course of the last couple of years, I think the coaching in this league, it's evolved. It used to be the spread wide open conference. I think tight ends and running backs and again playing defense has started to come to fruition in this conference, and so. I think it's only grown, and I think from top to bottom, this conference, you better come and you better play a football, or it's going to be really hard to win football games in this conference right now.
Coach, we promised you to give you 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes. We always do one thing on our show. We let our guests ask us a question. We've been peppering you 15 minutes. You could pick any one of us, ask a question, and we want to give you the opportunity to do that before we let you go.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Well, I'm going to go with Coach Meyer, and one of my great admirations for Coach is he always had the ability to sustain success, and I think it's one of the great challenges that we're after here in Ames, Iowa, is sustaining success at a really high level. The one or two values, Coach, that you really believed in, it's sustained success.
When I first became a head coach, the top of the pyramid in college was a guy named Pete Carroll. And I don't know Coach Carroll very well, but I studied everything he did. I had spies out there because I was just amazed at what he was doing. And I walked away, and I was about the Bowling Green, right when I was at Bowling Green, and then went to Utah. Is the word competition is everywhere in the playbook at everywhere I went. And that was him. And I think he's still doing it. I mean, everything was 7-on-7, whether it was inside drill, whether it was off-season program, whether it was GPS. And I just became a nut job about everything's competition. I want competition between the coaches. Who's going to be the best recruiters? So I just think, and I see that with you. I know you personally, but the minute the word the big C word, competition, starts to fade in your program, watch out. That's a problem. And I see that with you guys, but that's something I learned from Pete Carroll and studying it from afar.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Hey, Coach, what time do you want us showing up at your house for the Friday night dinner?
Hey, somebody asked me this summer, Coach Meyer. Now I was worried about Coach Meyer finding a great meal in Ames, Iowa. So I got to be on the lookout for somewhere good for Coach Meyer to be able to get a great meal on Friday night. But man, you guys are welcome to the Campbell house anytime.
I love it.
You got a lot to worry about, pal. Don't worry about us.
Hey, Coach Campbell, you know what Coach Meyer's toughest decision is on Fridays now? Go ahead, Coach, do it. Here
Steak,
it is.
chicken, or fish.
Those are good decisions, Coach. Those are good.
You look good, man. I'm happy for you, Matt.
Oh,
yeah, I appreciate
Coach, we can't wait to see you this Saturday. The team Big Noon Kickoff Squad, Fox Sports, coming your way to Ames for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. Matt Campbell from Iowa State. Thanks, man. Congrats on everything you've had accomplished so far, and good luck going forward.
Thanks for having me.
Coach. Appreciate you.
2-Minute Drill is brought to you by FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/triple option to download the app and take advantage of a 50% profit boost today. Mark, we're going to start where Team Big Noon Kickoff will be this weekend in Ames, Iowa, at Iowa State, battling for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. The Cyclones, unbeaten at home, favored by 2.5. The over under 42.5 points.
Yes, Stoner. Why are you doing all my stuff? The Cy-Hawk Trophy. I was giving them little tidbits. You know what I mean? You just a A1.
Can we
host,
talk about?
man.
Wait, can we talk about the Cy-Hawk Trophy? I'd like them to rename.
Let's talk
that.
about the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
Let's rename that. It's such a insane name. None of it makes sense.
Well, the Iowa State Cyclones.
I know what it is.
Hawkeyes.
I know the Cyclone and the
Trophy.
Hawk Eye, but I think we can do better. That's your project for this week. By the time I see you in Ames, come up with a better name for the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
Sounds good. But let's
All
talk about this game. Iowa. Kirk Ferentz, how about this? One win away from becoming the winningest coach in Big Ten history.
Hmm.
Matt
Is he going to
Campbell,
get it?
I don't know.
That's Woody Hayes, right?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. He's tied with Woody Hayes, coach.
Yep.
Wow.
But both these coaches are the winningest coaches in their whole school history, Kirk Ferentz and Matt Campbell. Let's talk about Iowa. 4 straight seasons, top 20 defense, and offense ranked outside the top 100.
Ouch.
How about that? They
Ouch.
scored 34 points in their last game versus Albany, 310 rushing yards, but they had 16 pass attempts for 48 yards. The quarterback, Mark Gronowski, 8 of 15 for 44 yards. The
Ouch.
transfer
That's
from
not a
South
lot.
Dakota State.
That's not a lot. 44 yards is not a lot.
But how about this though?
How about the rushing game?
Yeah, 310 rushing yards.
Let's go. You should be ecstatic, Mark. Iowa's your team.
Hey man, you know I had to do my little research. Shout out to the Z man. You feel me? You know what I mean? But then also this, but the defense. We know they play defense. 9 consecutive seasons allowed under 20 points per game. So Iowa, they can run the football. Can they pass? Doesn't look like it. And they play defense. Now let's go to Iowa State. Matt Campbell, 2-6 record against Iowa, but he's won 2 of the last 3. Their quarterback, Rocco Bett, is a straight baller. Last week, 19 of 20, 1 incompletion. So he's been playing extremely well at a high level. Got a great running back duo, got 2 tight ends, got a couple receivers, but their defense allowing 14 points per game, multiple takeaways in the first 2 games of the season. So what I'm saying here is I don't know who's going to win, but I know there's not going to be a lot of points in this game. So guess what Mark Ingram's going to do? I'm going under 42.5 in this matchup. Under 42.5 in this matchup. And that is your 2-minute drill for the Iowa State-Iowa game in Ames this weekend.
By the way, there were a lot of unders in week 1. A lot of unders in week 1.
And I'm going under here. Defense versus defense.
Yep, I hear you.
Iowa State.
Can't wait to get to Ames, by the way. Cannot wait to see Iowa State, their campus, and their people as well. Big game in Norman, Oklahoma this Saturday. Second ever meeting between Michigan and Oklahoma. Sooners favored by 5.5, over under 47.5. Sooners losing record in 2 of their 3 seasons under head coach Brent Venables. That includes 6-7 last year. Yeah, the seat is warm. The seat is warm under Coach Venables right now. It's been 5 straight seasons without a playoff appearance for Oklahoma, right? But the good news, the offense and the scoring was back, at least in week 1 against Illinois State, 35-3, the win. They outgained their opponent, Mark, 495 to 151. They put up 495 yards on Illinois State. John Mateer, yeah, it's a big number. John Mateer, the transfer from Washington State, fantastic. Accounted for over 400 yards of total offense and 4 touchdowns. We talk about the pressure on Brent Venables. You know, Coach, he made his name as a defensive coordinator, as a defensive guy. He took over the defensive play calling this year. Also took a pay cut. Pulled $1 million out of his salary. You know what they're doing with it? They're sliding it over to the department's revenue sharing effort. So he is he's moving the paycheck to, you know what he's moving it for, right? To get some players back to Norman and get Oklahoma back into the playoffs. Wolverines, they too 1-0, took care of New Mexico 34-17. The offense gained more yards in that game, 452, than they had in any game last season. Remember, they had no vertical game. They had no passing game in Ann Arbor. They do now. Bryce Underwood, number 1 ranked player in the 25 recruiting class, was going to LSU. For some reason, he found his way close to home in Ann Arbor. Yeah,
that money.
He got that money, and they're getting what they paid for. And then you hit on it earlier, Mark, the running game for Michigan, the Alabama transfer, Justice Haynes, 16 carries, 159, 3 touchdowns. All right, and head coach Sharon Moore returns to his alma mater. So let's see. Oklahoma scored 35. Michigan scored 34. Move my debt. That's 69 points. Okay. The over-under is 47.5.
Over?
Taking the over, baby. I'm taking the over in this one. Yeah, taking the over. All right, Coach. SEC, Ole Miss.
Cupcakes, right?
Ole Miss at, well, there's that too. Coach, to the SEC, Ole Miss at Kentucky.
Yeah, surprisingly, Kentucky is it's really a tough place to play, Mark. I don't know if you remember going there,
yes,
but they also got Mark Stoops, who's a defensive-minded guy, and they've been rugged over the last few years. And you got Lane Kiffin rolling in there after a big win, overpowered Georgia State. But I'm going to take Ole Miss by 12. I think this are truly 2 untested teams. We really don't know much about them. One beat Georgia State. That's Ole Miss. Kentucky was in a battle with a pretty good Toledo team. So I just see Ole Miss rolling a little bit. I think Lane Kiffin obviously is a heck of an offensive coach. I think they're going to score some points in this game. I got Ole Miss beating Kentucky by 12.
Wow, they're only favored by 9.5. Look at Coach.
Lay the points.
Ole Miss going on the road to Lexington and dropping a double-digit win on Kentucky.
Lay the points, Coach.
Woo.
It's still so early, but you know
It
what?
is.
I just see
They have a
when
beast
you
at the
when you saw
quarterback.
Toledo in Kentucky, that's what got me. 24-17, Kentucky to compete in the SEC. You need to beat Toledo by more than
Yeah,
that.
they got to get their pass game going.
Ole
big
Miss has a
time.
ball player at quarterback. We know that.
Again.
Again.
Funny how that happens. Lane knows what butters his bread, man. Follow, subscribe, rate us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. We are at 3X Option Show. Love to our sponsors, Wendy's, ZipRecruiter, and FanDuel. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll talk to you next week. And if you're in the
We're going
Ames,
to
Iowa,
Wendy's, right? Are we going to Wendy's?
that's coming up later
a
this
couple
month.
weeks.
And if you're in Ames, come on down, man. Come on down to Big Noon Kickoff. We'd love to have you.